I'm Sarah, I'm from Tafwa, and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Freddy, I'm from Gamiatong. I listen to Mario on the traffic jam every afternoon.
Hi, my name is Salah, I live in Asinu. Today FM rocks.
My name is Denasa and I'm from Lutoka and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Mulamila, I work at Golden Point Resort. I love listening to Today FM, it rocks in Raki.
I'm Mary from Mandera. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
We love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. In this bulletin, PM Bainimarama urges top nations to support smaller countries in climate change fight. 37 latest cases on HIV and AIDS in Fiji. And AG talks about lack of expertise in public service. Prime Minister Bainimarama has made an appeal to more than 150 heads of states for urgent assistance to save Fiji and the Pacific. Delivering his address at the Conference of Parties on Climate Change, Bainimarama told world leaders that time is running out. Akusita Tale has the details.
Having traveled about 16,000 kilometers to be in Paris, France, Bainimarama told world leaders that he is carrying a message from the people of the Pacific. Climate change is destroying our islands.
I appeal to the international community to make the drastic cuts in carbon emissions needed to save us. Unless we take decisive action here in Paris this week, we in the Pacific are doomed.
Bainimarama told about 150 heads of states that rising sea levels and extreme weather events caused by climate change are changing our ways of life. He has requested nations to cut carbon emissions as much as necessary.
And rather than capping the average long-term global temperature goal at 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, Pacific nations want that cap reduced to 1.5 degrees.
Bainimarama has demanded that these carbon emission cuts be legally binding and called on world leaders to highlight the positives and not the negatives.
These nations should also realize that the sooner they refigure their economies to win themselves of carbon, the better they too will be, because they are merely delaying the inevitable day of reckoning.
The Prime Minister has also invited world leaders to visit the Pacific and witness the impacts of climate change. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
We'll now cross live to Akusita Tale, who will tell us more details about Fiji's message at the COP21. Akusita, the Prime Minister also made remarks on Fiji's stand on climate change. Can you tell us more?
Good evening, Jackie. Yes, the Prime Minister has also called on world leaders at the COP21 meeting to assist Fiji to battle the drastic effects of climate change. He says the nightmare scenario is not only affecting the low-lying coral atolls, but on islands in Fiji as well. Prime Minister Bainimarama has told some of the worst carbon emitters in the world that Fiji has begun the process of relocating 45 communities. 830 have been identified to be at risk.
We have of our own accord made a budgetary allocation next year to examine all the legal implications of climate change, such as climate change refugee and the loss of territoriality. Your Excellencies, we urge all nations to work with us on this important initiative.
Bainimarama told the leaders that even though we haven't caused the rise in global temperatures, Fiji is reducing its own carbon emissions by 30% by 2030.
We are also demanding that these global collective emission cuts be legally binding. So, Mr. President, I call on the community of nations, rather than turn a blind eye to the crisis we face, we should confront it head-on. For governments to patiently explain to their nations and communities that there is no option other than to take the radical change on carbon emissions now.
The climate change crisis goes beyond the encroaching seas. Bainimarama says the parching droughts are already impacting our agriculture and cyclones with increasing severity, killing our people and destroying infrastructure. Aku Sita Talei, FBC News.
37 new cases of HIV infections have been recorded in Fiji as of November. HIV and AIDS advocate and former President Rugby Nailati says, even though the prevalence of the epidemic is low here, we cannot afford to be complacent. Maggie Boyle with the story.
We ask that you be with groups and organizations that respond faithfully.
A prayer breakfast was the first event to mark World AIDS Day, a sobering reminder given the 37 million people around the world living with HIV. In Fiji, the figure to date of confirmed HIV-positive cases is 647. Long-time ambassador in the fight against HIV and AIDS, Brutality says complacency is the biggest enemy.
And our figures have been going up for the last 2 years, 3 years, for instance. We had 64, 2014, 64, 2013, 62, 2012. Up to this year, November this year, we already have 37 cases.
UNAIDS Executive Director Jean Bigel noted that today is also a celebration of turning the tide on a killer disease.
We've seen the number of AIDS-related deaths declining by more than 40% since their peak in 2004. So that's a lot in a very short time. New HIV infections have fallen by 35% since 2000. We're well on the way to eliminating mother-to-child transmission of HIV.
With an aim to eradicate HIV and AIDS by 2030 as a global target, Health Minister Chone Usumate says at a national level, it's all hands on deck.
We will continue to strive towards that particular target of getting to zero in terms of the new infections that we have in this country. Also, not just getting to zero in terms of new infections, but getting to zero also in terms of AIDS-related deaths. I know that is a big challenge, but that is something that government is also focusing on.
The NGO Fiji Network for People Living with HIV and AIDS, FJN+, also launched its Stigma Index research, which will measure the impact of HIV-related stigma and discrimination. The research will be conducted from the 1st of December until the end of March 2016. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Acting Police Commissioner Brigadier General Sithiven Ngilio says they will organise an ID parade for Rajneel Singh, who was allegedly assaulted by some police officers last month. Ngilio told New Zealand-based Radio Tarana the investigating team is still continuing with its work due to the complexity of allegations of police brutality. 32-year-old Singh, who is an internet cafe operator in Lautoka, claims he was assaulted and tortured by police.
The victim has not been able to identify any policeman who might have been involved in it, but we've organized ID parades especially for the police station in Ba, where he was picked up from the vicinity of that station, to go through that process in order to complete investigations.
In regards to the trail of emails that was sent regarding the alleged destabilizing of the government, Brigadier General Sithiven Ngilio says they are working on a few leads. Acting Prime Minister Ayaz Said Qayyum has made revelations that some current public office holders do not have the qualification to hold public office. Said Qayyum revealed this while speaking at a youth dialogue workshop in Suva. Ali Kimbia has the details.
Some of the civil servants have been put into the limelight for not deserving to hold public office.
There are also people who are holding various public offices in Fiji today is because they got it there, not because they deserved it, not because it was based on merit, but because of who they knew, what religion they belonged to, what ethnicity they belonged to, who they knew within the system.
Said Qayyum says this was evident in the Ministry of Justice when they were appointed back in 2007. However, they also found out the same issue with other ministries.
We found that in certain ministries, women had to sleep with their superiors to maintain their jobs. This is in the Fijian public service.
Said Qayyum says in many cases, civil servants are not performing well because of lack of training and experience. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
Coming up on FBC News today, being December 1st, we take a look at what lies ahead in the festive month.
मैं नीलगिरी मदर्स क्लब की रोहिणी कुमार हूँ और रेडियो फिजी 2 की मैं बड़ी दीवानी हूँ।
मेरा नाम राम है, मैं लटोका में रहता हूँ और जस्ती करके मैं रेडियो फिजी 2 सुन रहा हूँ।
हाय, मैं हूँ आईना नाववा टाउन से। नाववा में रेडियो फिजी 2 सबकी पसंद।
मेरा नाम अश्विन है, मैं रेगरेकी में टैक्सी का व्यापार करता हूँ और ज़्यादातर हम लोग रेगरेकी में रेडियो फिजी 2 सुनते हैं।
हमारा नाम रोशनी है, मैं टावा टाउन से बात कर रही हूँ। मुझे रेडियो फिजी बहुत पसंद है।
रेडियो फिजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
A bridge workshop facilitated by the Fijian Elections Office is aimed to assist participants to understand the international principles for elections and how it is implemented. The Building Resources in Democracy, Governance and Elections Training Workshop, or BRIDGE, started in Suva today. Savara Thumbua has more.
Fiji needs to start from the basics due to lack of understanding in elections. Supervisor of Elections Mohammed Sanim says the workshop is a doorway of achieving greater heights by FEO in terms of its future plans.
We need to establish a sort of an institute, an educational institute, which will have its presence within Fiji and slowly go towards the region. And to this end, we started with BRIDGE, which is an international standard course in elections.
The FEO continues to receive support from the European Union. EU Ambassador to the Pacific, Andrew Jacobs, highlighted the new development programs they are undertaking to create more awareness.
But we're also focusing on governance. Through the governance part of the program, we're going to be working on access to justice. We're working with the judiciary. We have a program that we have worked out together with the Chief Justice, together with the Solicitor General and other parties. And I think that goes hand in hand with the support that we will continue to provide to the Fiji Elections Office.
Participants taking part in the workshop include the FEO staff, police and other stakeholders. The Fijian Electoral Educational Center already now has 3 fully accredited facilitators. Sabaira Tambua, FBC News.
A Japanese delegation is here to explore areas of investment in Fiji at the 2015 Trade and Investment Mission. This is an attempt to revive Japanese investment, which has been on the decline for some time. Ellen Stolz reports.
One of the most technologically advanced countries in the world, Japan, presents a huge potential for business.
Trade between Fiji and Japan has grown by 30% for the period 2010 to 2014. And this is from 200.6 million to 262.5 million.
Trade is only one portion of the possibilities which are open to Fiji. Japanese investment here hasn't flourished. Over the last few years, there has been a notable decrease in the amount of investment from Japan into Fiji, with 2014 recording only 1 Japanese investor. However, Minister for Tourism Faiz Koya says this mission hopes to change that. He says there is an indication of niche products such as mineral water, virgin coconut oil, clothing, organic tropical fruits, noni juice and vegetables could make some headway in the Japanese market.
Missions like the one today is a positive sign of exciting times ahead in the Fiji-Japan relations. We envisage more Japanese investors taking advantage of the incentives provided and also being part of the Fijian boom.
The delegation includes members of the Japanese government and the private sector, a follow-up from the meeting between Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama and Japanese counterpart Shinzo Abe in May.
Mission members are interested in various fields such as tourism, manufacturing, and infrastructure. We expect that business opportunities will be expanded in such various fields.
The mission includes presentations from the delegation as well as key government agencies. Ellen Stolz, FBC News.
Violence is not only measured in monetary terms, but also how much it costs someone on a personal level, stresses Fiji Women's Crisis Center Coordinator Shamima Ali. All types of violence against women, girls and children costs around $700 million a year. Farzana Nisha reports.
Women continue to be victims of domestic violence, rape, sexual abuse, sexual harassment cases. At least 64% of women in this country have been victims of domestic violence alone.
One of the ones that I remember is where a woman was in a domestic violence situation for a very long time, and eventually she was starved to death with a lot of injuries and so on. So that's one of them. She actually died, and died in hospital. By the time we got to her, it was too late.
Shamima Ali says the cost of domestic violence adds up to millions of dollars in a year.
Hospital cost, the cost of going to the police, law enforcement cost, the cost of the courts, the cost of social welfare, the cost of legislation, drafting new legislation to accommodate these kind of crimes against women and children and girls.
Ali adds violence has a lot of impact on women, especially their mental health and the trauma it causes. The Crisis Center gets a budget of $14 million for a 5-year program, including the running of its 4 branches, projects in Fiji and the Pacific region. Farzana Nisha, FBC News.
An MOU between the Ministry of Education and Vision Fiji was signed in Suva this morning. The agreement will see the Ministry of Education provide financial support towards Vision Fiji's Read to Lead program. These books will be distributed to all primary schools around the country to improve literacy levels in young children. Minister for Education, Dr. Mahendra Reddy, says over the last few decades, Fiji has lost the holistic view to develop a child to be a better citizen of the country.
Very pleased to work with Vision Fiji and Read to Lead. This is an investment as an economist. If I invest a particular amount of money in it, I see there is value to that. I'm willing to invest in every partner, every stakeholder in Fiji.
Vision Fiji has a project called Read to Lead, which focuses on the distribution of children's books to help young children read more. We have today officially entered into the festive season. The Christmas spirit is building up the excitement and people have started with Christmas shopping. Shriti Prasad has more.
We are just 3 weeks away from Christmas. People have started with their early shopping. It may be early days yet, but here is a great demand as shops are already attracting customers better compared to last year.
First of all, I would like to really thank the government this time for reducing our duty on jewelries and all the watches. That has made a very good impact on our prices.
For this festive season, Treehouse Boutique has a fantastic range of clothing for all our shoppers out there, which I believe they will definitely like it.
In Fiji itself, the season brings Fijians together, and judging by the shopper reactions, they are finding their prices reasonable.
I'm so excited with these low prices.
I'm about purchasing my wife's earrings today, good customer service and good pricing.
I am very excited and I am very happy with the low prices.
Christmas is an annual festival commemorating the birth of Jesus Christ, observed on December 25th, and is celebrated almost everywhere around the world. Shriti Prasad, FBC News.
We turn to sports now. Here's Jamie with the latest.
Nakazaki and good evening. Coming up, Vetokani eager to make Fiji Sevens debut this weekend. And an uphill battle ahead for Civic FC as it prepares for NCC title defense. These stories and more after the break.
Wani laki-laki lo menikoro. Dau vinakapia na pa ama Bula FM. Niron dau vinkarapi o beni lo po viroro ozo. Na Bula FM number 2 na sir.
Iyo Bula bina tangu epeli untuk taliten na porong Bula FM na wo.
Number 2 tinangan ng Bula FM no sur. Bula FM number 2 na sir.
Bula sia puni pa ulambasa na ko Vila Merikivi Bula FM number 2 na sir. Talita itu ngai lampas.
Bula FM number 2 and ser.
Nandrunga fly half Fbctv Vetokani is looking forward to make his Fiji Sevens debut at the Dubai tournament this weekend. The 23-year-old says he faced one of the most trying times in his playing career in order to make the transition from 15-a-side rugby to the abbreviated code in a short period of time.
It's totally tough because I can't
take the price from 15 to 7, so it's totally different. So coming back to 7 side, you will be getting more train and lose more weight from 15 side.
Fiji's first match in the Dubai Sevens is against Canada at 6 p.m. on Friday. You can watch that game as well as the entire tournament live on Fbctv and catch live commentaries of Fiji's matches on Radio Fiji 1 and Bull FM. Meanwhile, Tom Kingston will be making his debut for the Australian Sevens team at the Dubai Sevens and has been working extra hard to prepare. Dubai is the first stop in the 10-leg World Sevens Series before the Rio Olympics closes out the season next year. The airport rugby team that will compete at the inaugural Westfield Sevens later this month will be made up of mostly players from the Nandi side. These players have been signed into the airport team to maintain their fitness levels during the off-season. Josephine Avula reports.
Doing the hard yards, the airport rugby team has been pushing the envelope to assemble the right combination for the upcoming tournament.
We've played in 3 tournaments, and we're lucky that we managed to reach the elimination stages in those 3 tournaments, and looking forward to the Westfield Sevens.
Tamata says they have pulled in players from the Nandi club, not just to give the airport a fighting chance.
To engage the Nandi players too in the airport team. Over the years, we have found out that during the festive seasons, they tend to slacken off, and when the proper season starts for 15, they're kind of trying to have a catch-up game.
The team will be banking on experienced players such as Cyril Rees, Chone Turwa and Seru Vaningi to lead the charge. The mini Westfield Sevens will be held on the 19th of this month at the Prince Charles Park in Nandi. Josephine Avula, FBC Sports.
Civic FC will face the daunting task of defending the Rooster Chicken National Football Club Championship title this year. The Silver Bay side has been grouped in a tough pool for the finals, which shifts to Govind Park in Bar this weekend. Tsalen Dadakdaka reports.
After coming through the Southern and Western Division playoffs last week, these are the remaining teams that will battle it out in the National Club Championships.
Last week we have competition in Lakambau Park and Prince Charles Park, Nandi. Everything went well. We have 5 from Lakambau Park from the south and 3 from the west. So the 8 teams will play it off at Govind Park Bar.
Pool 1 features heavyweights Civic FC and 4R Electrical, and it will be interesting to see which teams progress to the semi-finals and eventually the final.
We want football to achieve greater things, and the Rooster National Club Championship is a platform to do so. I would like to urge the general public to come out in numbers and witness the top players from around the country in action.
With the divisional playoffs done and dusted, the 8 remaining teams will need to lift their performance to another level as they battle it out for club supremacy. Talento Dakavaka, FBC Sports.
The Queen Victoria School All Boys Rugby Club today launched the annual Ndrovesi Golf Tournament as well as its 50th anniversary celebration in Suva, with both events to be held on Friday. Pacific Energy, which has supported the tournament for several years, has increased its sponsorship to $7,500 for the one-day competition, which will feature former scholars.
The competition can get very intense, but there's a lot of fun in it, despite intensity. And for the last 3-4 years, Virat House has been winning this competition, and all the other houses are going to be trying very hard this year to unseat them from where they are.
The Ndrovesi tournament, which will be held on Friday at the Suva Golf Club, is named after the late Netani Ndrovesi, the longest-serving school teacher that taught at QVS from the 1940s to the late 70s. That is your sports for this evening. It's back to Jackie now with business.
Good news for the staff of Housing Authority today. This is they were given a pay increment after the authority recorded a surplus of $2.5 million.
In that vein, I'd like to announce that we have also approved, with your CEO obviously pushing for that too, the salary adjustment for all non-management staff, which starts all the way from the drivers all the way up to the team leaders.
The salary back pay amount of $369,774 goes back to 2011. Meanwhile, $176,534 was warmly welcomed. It covers the amount going back to the 1st of November 2013 base salary adjustment. For the first time since operations began for the Housing Authority, a total surplus of $2.5 million was achieved by the company, with around $1.6 million put back to providing housing needs for Fijians.
I see this particular event that took place as a major milestone in supporting a performance-based culture. I see this as a big incentive and a big morale booster for the management to now work with the staff.
Acting Prime Minister Ayah Said Qayyum was also on hand to not just deliver the good news, but offer words of encouragement.
So, don't think just because you're a driver or a data operator that you are in any way less to the CEO or less to whoever else there is or a manager, because without you performing your specific function, they also won't be able to do their job.
Staff were all smiles and thankful for the appreciation shown to them.
I think it's about time for us to receive this, and we're happy that actually it's here.
At the moment, I'm excited and happy for this government of the day has given to us.
The 139 on staff will have their salaries adjusted to at least be in alignment with what the market rates are currently offering. The staff of Fiji Electricity Authority will soon receive a $1.2 million payout in bonuses. While making the announcement this afternoon, Acting Prime Minister Ayah Said Qayyum commended the FBA staff for their cooperation during the challenging weather patterns to maintain the organization's profitability. Said Qayyum says each staff in FBA plays a critical role to serve the nation.
Because somebody is a driver in FEA or somebody is an accounts clerk or a customer service person or auditor, all of you play a very important role. It's not just the CEO. Of course, the CEO is important. He or she needs to put it all together.
70% of the payout will go to non-management staff. A fine and clear day with brisk breezes and light scattered showers across most of Fiji today. All other major centres were blazing at 33 degrees, leaving Suva and Savo the coolest in the low 30s. For tomorrow, fine apart from a few brief showers about the southern and eastern divisions, it should be much like today. And the further outlook is for Thursday, it's fine apart from a few afternoon or evening showers. At sea, southeast winds 20 to 25 knots, rough to moderate easterly swells. In our main stories tonight, Prime Minister Bainimarama urges bigger nations to step in and help countries such as Fiji in the fight against climate change. 37 new cases of HIV and AIDS reported in Fiji, and lack of expertise in public service a concern. This week's question, and we are asking, is Christmas becoming too commercialized? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Bye for now.